guys, I'm back with another Batmobile, and this time we're going to be taking a look at the Eaglemoss Batmobile from Detective Comics number 219. Now, as they say, this is not your father's Batmobile, right? It's more like your great-great-great-grandfather's Batmobile. This one's really cool, and this particular model, I think it really shows you how comprehensive Eaglemoss is trying to be with this line of Batmobiles. Again, it comes from Detective Comics 219, which came out in 1955. And 1955 was an interesting point in the history of comics. It was during that window of time in between the Golden Age and the Silver Age of comics. And when this issue came out, the only DC characters that were still being written were Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. And just a few short months after the release of this issue is when we start seeing reboots of characters like Green Lantern and The Flash, and this sort of ushers in the Silver Age of comics. Now, in my opinion, back when this issue of Detective Comics was released, the writers were basically writing the best stories that they could. You know, they were drawing from their own experiences. They weren't writers like Scott Snyder or Jeff Johns. They weren't building on the history of the characters and trying to write the best Superman or the best Batman stories. They were basically just trying to write the best science fiction or the best detective stories, which is how I think we ended up with stories like this one in this issue called Gotham City's Strangest Race. Now, in the story, Batman and Robin are in a town called Millville, where they've tracked down some gangsters who are trying to infiltrate the Ancient Auto Society. Now, while this Ancient Auto Society is having their convention, there's an ordinance that states no modern vehicles are allowed in Millville. So, if Batman and Robin wanted to track down the gangsters, they had to find an alternate mode of transportation. And since it's a classic car convention, Batman ditches the modern Batmobile and gets a hold of a 1905 Marmon. And of course, you know, he tweaks it and makes a few Bat modifications to it. So, let's take a closer look at this model that Eaglemoss has given us. Now, the diorama is pretty straightforward. In the 3D lenticular, you have an image of some of the other classic cars from the Ancient Auto Society in the background there. And these are mainly from the cover of the issue. And the base is meant to look like this old dirt road. There are even some green grass highlights. You know, it's simple, but it's nice. Now, I have to say, the artists from the book, Sheldon Moldoff and Charles Paris, they really did the research when they did the artwork for the cars. This is what the original 1905 Marmon looked like. And as you can see, this version of the Batmobile is an exact replica of the original, just with a few Bat highlights, right? You have the Bat image on the hood, the painted symbol on the doors, and the Bat fin in the back. The body of the model is all die-cast, and it actually has a good bit of weight for its size. But all of the accents and additions throughout, you know, like the tires, the fins, the windshield and steering wheel, that's all plastic. And as always, Eaglemoss did a fantastic job with their attention to detail. You know, with the red headlights, the sculpted lines on the hood, and even inside, I'm not sure if you can see this, but you have the foot pedals on the bottom, but it also has painted detail inside the speedometer and odometer. Now, I just think it's amazing for the size of the car. I wanted to compare this Batmobile with a couple of different models. The first is the Batmobile from Batman number 5. And you can see the similarities with the two. This is just one example, but there are quite a few Batmobiles that all have the trademark Bat cowl, or I think of it as the battering ram on the hood, and they all have some sort of bat fin on the back. Both of these classic models look great side by side. It really plays into that time of mob bosses and gangsters, you know, before Batman had the greatest rogues gallery in the world. I also thought it would be fun to compare it with a very modern design of the Batmobile. Now, this one is from Batman Legends of the Dark Knight. This one is so awesome. Now, this is the flip side in the history of the Batmobile. You know, it's very sleek, very modern. very stealth-like, but almost aggressive in its design. In closing, I think this is another fantastic model from Eaglemoss. Now, I know it looks like something that you'd find in Downton Abbey as opposed to Gotham City, but I love the fact that we're getting some of these more obscure models. I've read some complaints online about Eaglemoss releasing particular models like this one, but frankly, I think it's awesome that they're not just giving us those variations on the '89 Batmobile. I also think it's important to remember that currently they're planning on releasing 80 different Batmobiles in this line. That's a lot of Batmobiles. And I think it would be unfortunate if they didn't give us models like this one. Again, Batman has a very long and rich history, and I think it's great to see all the different incarnations of the Batmobile. So what do you guys think? Do you like this one? Are you a fan of these obscure models? Or are you mainly a fan of the cars that we see in the movies? As always, I love to read your comments, and I of course appreciate you watching and subscribing. So, we've been looking at the Eaglemoss Batman Automobilia issue number 26, the Batmobile from Detective Comics number 219. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.